Greetings and salutations, loyal viewers of this channel. My name is Sean, and today we got to talk about repeated instances of violence that go on in a California elementary school that have left a first grade teacher battered and bruised, and apparently all of these instances of violence that she is complaining about, that the community is complaining about, come from the same exact student who is not at all being held accountable for his actions. Now, we're going to talk about this, but before we do, I want to thank everybody who supports this channel via actualjusticewarrior.com/join.
Give me the money. Give me the money. Okay?
Your version of PBIS is not working. You need to have a paper trail and you need to actually hold students accountable.
So right off the top, I got to give the parents credit for coming to this school board meeting and coming informed at this school board meeting, because you hear in that first statement this parent complaining about their version of PBIS not being effective. And for those of you who are unaware, this is a progressive form of school punishment meant to address racial inequities in suspensions, because we all know, even if the behavior is different, if the outcome in terms of racial demographics in suspensions is different, the Federal Department of Education under Democrats views that as evil white racism. So one of the alternatives to actual suspensions, to actual consequences, is PBIS, which stands for Positive Behavioral Interventions and Support, which is a framework that schools use to promote positive behavior and school safety. It's considered a proactive approach that focuses on teaching students positive behaviors and strategies rather than punishment. And it claims that PBIS can improve outcomes for all students, including those with disabilities and from underrepresented groups. So based on the fact that this elementary school has this progressive discipline model in their institution, I decided to look up the demographics of this particular school. And by the way, for those of you out there in my audience, you might be surprised a little bit, because even though the school boasts 68.8% minority enrollment, it needs to be 100% clear that the bulk of that minority enrollment is actually of Hispanic students. In fact, the demographic breakdown is as follows: Hispanic or Latino, 56%. White, 32%, two or more races, 5.7%, Asian or Pacific Islander, 5.3%, Black or African American, just 1.3%, and of course, American Indian or Alaska Native. So again, before you start making assumptions about which student is behind these particular attacks, understand that the Black student population is a mere 1.3% of the student body population, so we don't know exactly who is doing what in this particular scenario.
Tonight, several parents gathered at a school board meeting in Hanford to speak up for an elementary teacher who says she was repeatedly attacked by her student.
In addition to that, this is also a charter school. So a charter school ends up having all of these problems that we see in the public schools, and a lot of people feel like safety is one of the reasons to move from a public school to a charter school, but it turns out this is not the case in this regard. So now that we have all of those assumptions laid out, now that we established that we don't know, and since the majority of students are Hispanic, maybe the student that's doing the attacking is Hispanic, let us move on to the next portion of the segment, because you will find it absolutely fascinating.
Yeah, Monty, on Monday, a woman posted on Facebook that Frontier Elementary's third grade teacher Madeline Cardoza was attacked several times by a student in her class. Take a look at the photos posted. You can see here that her face and legs are all bruised up. Tonight's parents are sharing their thoughts on this attack at Frontier School Board meeting. Here's what they had to say.
So when I first heard about a teacher being attacked in an elementary school by either a first grader or a third grader, I thought to myself, this isn't going to be all that serious. But of course, as you see, the photos make it absolutely clear that it is serious, and there are multiple attacks, again, according to the teacher, and the school seems to be doing nothing except pushing more progressive discipline in order to head off the issue. Now, we will talk about this. We have talked about this before. One of the reasons why these progressive policies end up getting implemented is due in large part to the fact that the federal government will sue you for civil rights violation if you end up going after a minority student and suspending said minority student, not to mention the fact that in a very pro-teachers union state like California, they're always looking for reasons to shut down charter schools. So racism allegations fit perfectly within the purview of justifications that California would use in order to cut off this charter school's charters. So let's be clear that there are some corrupt incentives behind the scenes, but let's push it a little bit further into the story so you can hear how bad and how frequent these attacks actually are.
How do you look at the bruise on her face and move through your day as if that is a normal thing? How do you send this young mother home to her husband and daughter and not move mountains to keep the teacher safe?
Madeline Cardoza, a first grade teacher at Frontier Elementary School in Hanford, says she's been assaulted several times by the same student. We're told this is her fourth black eye by the same student, and this last assault also resulted in her getting a concussion.
So just think about how crazy this is. This woman has reported multiple different various assaults from the same student, including 4 black eyes, and this particular assault was egregious, as you can see, not just by the marks on her face, but because she also got a concussion. I'm sorry, but even though I have my issues with our education system, the idea that we should have teachers experiencing a risk for CTE in an elementary school because of students that the school refuses to punish for violent actions is absurd. Again, remember when you were in school, if you're watching this video, and think about how quickly you would have been expelled from the school if you assaulted a teacher. And if you're a little bit younger than me or around my same age, think about how quickly you would have been arrested for, again, assaulting a teacher. But in this particular case, in progressive California, they decide, you know what, we need to let it go. We need to do positive behavior enforcement because punishment, that's really bad and potentially evil white racism, and we can't have that. We just gotta let this teacher and possibly young mother be assaulted and brutalized in the classroom in order to pay homage to the sins of our past, because it would just be so evil white and racist for us to do anything else.
You guys have done nothing for this staff. There's no safety training. They can't hold the child down. They can't defend themselves. They can't defend their other students from being assaulted.
Allison Colley, the president of the Pioneer School Association, tells us this is not the first time something like this has happened at a school within the Pioneer School District.
You were all on the board 3 years ago when we were having issues in another classroom with a teacher being assaulted.
So we have another person right here discussing how this was a problem a couple of years ago with another student that repeatedly assaulted a teacher, and these same school board members did nothing. And I just want people to understand the timeline that we're talking about, because this is all post George Floyd, post the Black Lives Matter riots, post the racial awakening, and post the passage of all these different various laws that were meant to supposedly address the school to prison pipeline, when in reality what they actually did was just ignore juvenile crime, ignore crime in the schools. Again, we have different various crime rates from teenagers, from school-age children outside in the real world, but these people are under the false ideological belief that during the school day, any discrepancy in their behavior isn't actually a discrepancy in their behavior, it's a discrepancy in terms of discrimination because they're receiving unequal punishment. For some reason, they believe that kids who offend wildly differently at different rates outside of school of the same age when they're in school act exactly the same. And again, punishing them, evil white racism. Shut up with the evil white racism.
Now parents are asking for the district to make a change, not only for the teachers, but for students who are witnessing these attacks.
Our schools are anything but safe. We're failing not only Ms. Cardoza, but every teacher and student who deserves an environment where they feel secure, respected, and supported.
They are learning young that they can do this. What do you think this is going to lead to when they are older?
One parent.
Look right here, the parents are making sage salient points. Now, the first person was a parent and a teacher, but the second person, just listed as a parent of a first grader, makes the point that if you teach them that this behavior is acceptable and without consequences when they're young, what do you think they're going to take out into the world? And I 100% agree. If you are at the elementary school age assaulting your teacher, your authority figure, what's going to happen when you get stopped by the police when you're a teenager? You're probably going to fight the cop. You're probably going to get into it with them. And if you end up getting killed, all of a sudden people will say the cop is full of evil white racism because how dare he go after this kid who was basically allowed to be violent against authority figures throughout his entire life.
Even sharing that, his son came home and told his parents what happened, but the parents did not believe him at first.
My son had made comments before, and I kind of thought he was like exaggerating stuff, you know. And I feel bad because he was telling the truth the whole time, so.
So a couple of things about this parent. First and foremost, we are told throughout all our society that parents given too much to the children's, they always take their side, they always believe their version of events, and that's one of the things that's creating major conflict between teachers and parents over time. But the fact of the matter is, this was a bridge too far for this parent to believe. In addition to that, even though this guy seems very upset about this, he does have a bit of a smile that he's speaking at the school board meeting, and I think that's due to the fact that his name is quite literally Joey Content. Very content with this situation. And yes, I did have to make this joke. It was totally necessary. Shut up if you don't like it.
This is now one of 2 school assaults that have happened under Fresno Unified School District. We've covered this month. Last week, we told you about an assault at McLean High School where a student and a teacher were attacked inside a classroom by another student and their relative. That assault caused the teacher, Allison Maddox, to suffer a concussion. In a press conference with the Fresno Teachers Association, President Manuel Bonilla said that there have been rampant and ongoing incidents of physical violence against teachers and staff during the 2024-2025 school year.
Now look, that particular instance sounds even more serious than this one because it was a high school, a student and a relative came in and attacked another student and a teacher, and obviously this many problems popping off in this school district are something that we need to take note of. But the sheer youth in this situation, the sheer viciousness of the attack, the fact that it's happened more than 4 times from this student should be alarming. But for whatever reason, and I have my suspicions, make no mistake about it, the school seems more interested in covering it up rather than protecting the teacher. Now, of course, I'm going to open the floor to all of you guys out there in the audience because I want to know what you guys think. As per usual, if you like the video, show them by leaving a like, subscribe for more content, follow me on my social media, support me via the support links in the description of this video. This has been me talking about madness in California schools. Till next time.